And just like that, it's 12 noon. How could that be? Wait a minute. I got to do this. I was busy looking at something else. I was busy looking at Ethel Merman.
Oh, was that what the problem was? I wonder why you hadn't gone live.
It wasn't a problem. I was here, but I was trying to download something and failed, of course, comprehensively. I do have this. Gets better. All together now. Bar pop, because all right, I'm a Unit 1 into Unit 2 with Mr. Phil. I'd wear a cravat today. Just back from South Africa, all right? There we go. Excuse me. You're back then.
I am back. Yes, hello.
Tell us
sorry,
all
looking
about
very
it.
much like a victim of abuse. I'm so sorry. The lighting's
what
not
happened?
great
What,
around.
you can't say things like that. What happened? Well, you can say what you like. I don't care. What happened? Why? When did you get back?
Yesterday morning at about 5 a.m.
Straight to work, knowing you?
I wasn't actually. Do you know what? I mean, I did have a lot of work to do yesterday, but I wasn't straight back into the office physically. Today was
Rupert was phoning me endlessly. Where is he? Where is he? I went, Ru, I don't know, mate. He's on holiday. Oh, when is he coming back, mate?
You are outrageous. Stop it.
I know, but it's the fact. The whole apparently they were put the lights in the whole of your tower, to dim until you returned. It's a fact.
Yes, well, I do feel like the Raven has returned. So,
well, that is it. You are like the Raven of that, what is it? News tower, News Corps tower, Tower of News, Tower of Babel. I don't know what it is. Anyway, marvelous. There we go. So,
now Facebook user is not quite right there. It's only an hour's time difference. No, it's 2 hours at the moment. But thank you.
Okay. Yeah, he's been to Croydon. If everybody's wondering where he's been, he's been to Croydon. Why did I wear a check shirt like a complete idiot? I don't know. I thought it looked nice.
Because you wanted to give us something to do, and you're stuck on 2 down.
I'm stuck on 2. It looks. I know. I should have known with all my years of doing this not to. I just like this shirt. It's kind of a nice shirt. Anywho, afternoon chat. Salutations from the cold. What's it say? Facebook user.
Salutations from the cold coast in Kent. Can't say that after a couple of.
You don't want to say that after several.
Gracious me, a couple of bevies. That would be terrible. Could you imagine?
That wouldn't be easy.
Coast in Kent.
Yeah, from the cold coast in Kent. That could go horribly, horribly wrong. Anyway, how was it? How was South Africa?
South Africa was absolutely stunning. Thank you. No, it really was. It was absolutely divine. It was. I was only there for 5 days, which is a ridiculously long way to go for 5 days. Let me tell you.
How long was the flight? Was it 8 hours or something? 6 hours?
No, 11 and a half hours.
They've moved it since I was there.
Yeah. 11 and a half hour flight.
Wow. So it's the same. It's equidistant to almost to Los Angeles. That's crazy.
No, 11 and a half hours straight down, God. If you see. And as a result of it, it was still summer there. So I've had a bit of sunshine. So I warn you, I'm feeling a little bit lightheaded for it. And oh, gracious me, speaking of lightheaded, this is not good. I'm such an idiot. I know you know this already, and this will come as not a shock. But what happened is that one of the days that I was there, my friend and I decided to go to a district called Franschhoek, which is one of the wine districts. So the most famous one is probably Stellenbosch.
Yes, Stellenbosch, yes.
Yeah, so near Stellenbosch is a district called Franschhoek. Yeah. And anyway, when I went there, I may have accidentally overindulged in quite a lot of wine.
Tripped over a bottle of wine? Did you trip and then it flew in the air, the cork popped out, and the whole contents went down your throat?
It wasn't good.
Before you could say no.
No, but it wasn't good because I'm afraid it gets slightly better than that.
Uh-oh.
The temperature on that day was around 35 degrees Celsius, so it was really warm, okay?
Warm?
And so a combination of, it's not Fahrenheit, it was degrees Celsius. So
it's hot. It's hot.
It was boiling. Yeah, it was absolutely boiling. So a combination of that, a fair bit of wine, and maybe overindulging in food, I might have had to ask the cab driver to stop on the journey back because I wasn't feeling terribly well.
Was that to admire the scenery, Philip?
No, believe me, if I felt like I had a very simple choice where we were driving through, I was either going to churn my stomach inside out without being too graphic, or I was going to run the risk of being mugged. So it wasn't a great choice, whichever way you looked at it. But I have to say,
I don't understand.
I have to say that given the choice of that or redecorating the back of a stranger's cab, I thought that the latter was better.
But you're a successful man. Why did you book into the Soweto Travel Lodge?
It was such a good deal.
It was a very good deal. Nice.
For some reason, they have very, very ready availability. I don't understand why.
I don't understand why travel lodges. Oh God, I used to stay in them all the time in another life. Thank God that life's finished. Anyway, a long time ago. So, did you say mugged? Is it dangerous out there, South Africa? Because
it can be very much videos. So, okay, so here's the problem with South Africa is it's very much a country that's governed by lawlessness. So the awful truth is that however beautiful it is, and it really is a stunning country, I am very aware, I'm very lucky because I've been sort of brought up with that kind of culture, even though I've only been 3 times. I have been brought up with the South African culture because half my family are from there. So I am quite wise to what one has to do over there. So you don't wear jewelry in the streets, you dress down, don't make yourself stand out, nothing. You literally just blend in.
You took off your tiara because you
I did. I had to. I really did. Well, I was also slightly worried about the shadow, the dent, you know, that when you actually go in the sun and how it sort of it impacts the skin. I was a bit worried that there would just be like a sort of a white coloured U around my forehead. That I wasn't sure what people would make of it. It would look like I'm like sort of got an extra smile going on. It'd be a bit weird.
Well, it'd be nice, be cheery in the horrible world. Right. So
anyway, so yeah, in terms of sort of how dangerous it is, one has to have their wits about them. Make sure that you don't do anything to stand out from the crowd. Make eye contact with nobody. It's just the easiest thing to do is just get on with it. Go straight to your destination. And if you are driving, which you mainly have to drive around there because public transport's also a bit rough, is just make sure you go straight to where you're going and just get as near as possible. It sounds rough because we're not used to that here, but that is life over there. And I have to say that sort of if you know how to navigate it, yes, okay, it's a bit unpleasant, but actually you can live like royalty over there. It is so dirt cheap. It's unbelievable, but that's primarily because the pound is quite strong versus the rand, which is quite weak. But amazing food, really great weather, and sensational cuisine. Oh, loved it.
The food that I went out there to work for a week. I was filming the great Ayrton Senna, my opinion, the finest Formula One driver of all time, and I spent a week with Ayrton Senna, and in the garage with McLaren, and just one of the best weeks of my life, really. But when people say, "What did you think of South Africa?" I went, "Well, I saw the garage, I saw the pit lane, I saw the track, I saw my hotel room. I had a spare couple of hours, and we went out and saw some scenery. But the food, wowzer! The food. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? It's gone mad. It's gone mad."
Sorry, no, I just noticed that the lens was a bit dirty, so I'm just giving it a polish. Don't mind me.
Dirty lens. Dirty lens. I thought the food was absolutely amazing. Graham Pack was wondering, did you take off your cravats in case they caused attention?
Do you know, this is most disappointing to report, but yes, I did have to remove the cravats because, again, it would be part and parcel of standing out there, and you don't want to do that.
Well, everybody else is in shorts and a t-shirt. You're in a 3-piece suit with a cravat.
Well, look, I mean, one thing I think it's worthwhile pointing out is that the first time I went to South Africa was 2016, and I was with a group of friends. It's for a friend of ours' wedding. And funny enough, actually, the wedding it was one of the guys I went out with this time. Right. It went out to South Africa with this time. But but one of the friends that was there got, in the short space of 10 days, was mugged twice because he didn't really know how to behave there. And the first time is he was wearing his camera around his neck like a proper tourist. Forget it. I mean, that is just basically saying to someone, "Hey, come and get me. I'm an easy target."
Absolutely.
You know? They look out for people.
I have a Rolex. Anybody interested? It'll be that.
So it's funny you say that. The other friend I went out with, he happened upon the Rolex shop at Heathrow on the way out. I said, "Don't you dare get that before you go there."
Don't. Are you mad?
So fortunately he didn't. He was just signing himself up to a waiting list.
Ever mindful, says that you don't get this on the BBC. Thank God. You don't get us on the BBC. Phil, you now have a smear top to bottom, middle of your screen. You do. I'm taking you off until you've cleared it. You do. Cannot get the bloody stuff. You try youth opportunity training schemes, and they're not all they're cracked up to be. They're just
give me a chance. I haven't done it yet.
Oh, for God's sake! God. Yeah, we know. It might be an 11-hour flight. It's only 2-hour time difference. Yes, and in certain times of the year, it's only a 1-hour time difference, so you don't get jet lag, which is great. I was very impressed. I thought it was lovely in South Africa. Never had any trouble, but then we went in it and Senna's garage. It's highly unlikely, isn't it?
That any better?
Man, what have you done?
What? I can't.
You got a whacking great line down it now.
Oh,
this is the weirdest thing. What are you doing? It was better before you started messing about. All right,
there.
I think that's just the ray Daves of sunshine coming through the window.
Hey,
yeah, you see what I did there? One of the
I mean, that would explain a lot actually, because I did actually clean it with a Ray-Ban cloth. So obviously it doesn't ban the rays, does it?
That's what is it? What is he saying? That's eyes light.
That is light.
Oh, right. I thought he'd gone mad. I thought Dave Sleet had finally lost the plot and just gone raving mad. I thought he said, "I've seen the light."
That's very kind of you to say that about me, Dave. But honestly, I insist you don't elevate me to that level. Go straight to my head.
Hey, what am I going to say to you? Don't know. My dog's driving me around.
Can I just say, though, that I have to say, I'm making it sound like a very dark place, but honestly, the country itself has got amazing potential and is beautiful. But just honestly, just as long as you have your wits about you, it's a great place, and I don't regret it.
Do you know what? Let's be absolutely honest here, because they won't say this on other channels. If you're in London and you're wandering around with a Rolex, you're going to get trouble. I mean, London.
But I was going to say, it's the same kind of thing with the camera as well.
They've given up here. They've just given up. And it's only going to get worse.
Lawless, I actually do. Well, you say that, but actually, it's funny you say that. I was having this conversation with my father, and I said that I actually believe the UK is where South Africa was at about 20, 30 years ago, where it was sort of on the cusp of this lawlessness. And it was... Although people knew what was happening there, they sort of turned the other way and thought, it's fine.
It'll be all right.
And it's kind of the same thing happening here now, that, that people are just turning the other way. The police are less than useless with so many things now.
I think shocking. Calling them useless is an insult to people who are actually useless. I don't know what the hell's going on. I genuinely do not understand what is going on. Stray into a bus lane, don't pay your BBC license fee, park on a single yellow line. Oh my God, they're on you like a freaking rash, right?
Yep.
Chance, let's chop somebody's head off. Not a problem. Can I hold your flag for you, sir?
Quite.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
It's horrendous.
I mean, I am considering leaving London. I'm giving it some thought. But
I don't blame you. And I have to tell you,
I mean, I love, the thing is, I love it, but I'm like, am I kind of done with this? I don't know. Maybe I'm done.
Well, look, let me put it this way. If my work was not so dependent on me being somewhere on location, then I would have left London ages ago. Can't be doing with it. It's just awful.
Well, I go into town every weekend to meet Ray Gelato and Colin Vaines, and we have a cigar. It's my weekly cigar. It's my weekly treat. It's our thing. We don't let anybody else join us. It's just the three of us. Christ, every Saturday morning.
And he means that, by the way. I like both those things. I've never been invited.
No, we don't invite anybody else ever.
No?
Because it's our thing where we can really be very honest with each other and really talk, and it really helps us. And you can't when there's other people there. And, we get a lot of, we'd love to come. I'm sure you would. It's lovely. And, during the week, okay, but not on Saturdays. That's just the sacrosanct thing. So,
it's fine. I'm at work anyway.
Of course you work. You never stop working, man. I've had a heavy week this week. It's been good. It's been a load of marketing and getting this show up and running, record numbers, which I'm thrilled about. It's just been blooming marvelous. Nice subscribers on the YouTube channel, which is great. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, hello. If you're watching on Espresso Bar, hi to you. We're all over the place here. Might be on my LinkedIn that you're watching, everywhere. So on a Saturday, so I leave. We finish at 1:00, and then sometimes Ray and I go off for a coffee because Colin goes off and writes scripts and does all his Hollywood film stuff. And then Ray and I might go and get a coffee or a snack. Jeez, the trains. I mean, it's just like. But then you've got the theatre and the restaurants and all the loveliness of it. And I just wonder if I went to the countryside, I would probably be bored. I'd probably be bored stupid in about a week.
Do you think you'd ever take up anything such as, I don't know, say clay badger shooting or something?
Oh, yeah. I used to do a lot of clay pigeon shooting. I loved clay pigeon shooting. Really? I absolutely loved it.
That's got to be one of the most soul-destroying jobs there is out there. The person who makes the clay pigeons, just knowing that your work is destined to be blown to smithereens.
No. See, it's genius because it can't be reused. So you've got a constant workload. It's brilliant because if you hit it, I wouldn't shoot anything that lives. I'm a huge hypocrite because I love meat. There you go. I've said it. But, if I went to an abattoir, I'd never eat meat again. I know that, which is why I've never been. I understand that. But here's the thing. Clay pigeon shooting was fantastic because there's no middle ground. I nearly, but no, you either hit it or you miss it. Boom, that's it. And I got pretty good at it, and I was going to get a shotgun, over and under, as they call it, not side by side, but over and under with the barrels. And then the police really stepped up what you needed. And I thought,
what spoils sports? Fancy.
Aren't they just? Although wandering through central London with a shotgun might be... Whose phone is that?
Who's on line 1?
That's me. That's the celebrant phone.
Oh, dear. Okay, well, he's going to trot off then in that case. If he's got to go and deal with the celebrant phone, I better sort of deal with the way. Let's have a look and see. Paul says, hey, Russ, can we have an update on Ebony? Has she had a good week? Well, I'm sure when he gets back, then we will absolutely determine that. And Paul also goes on to say, Russ, take notes from Out's lovely friend Anna Webb. I think he means our lovely friend Anna Webb. She left London for the countryside, hated it, longed to be back in London, took her a few years to get back here. Look, I think actually that sort of there's always a case of the grass is greener, because I could very easily, if I look at, say, the lifestyle that I could have in South Africa, I'm doing that based on owning and earning British pounds. Now, of course, if you get a job out there, there's a reason why an awful lot of people leave South Africa to go and work elsewhere in the world. Is because the prosperity over there is actually quite poor in the grand scheme of things. So this notion of that we look at somewhere through tourist eyes and never forget that when we see something as a tourist, of course, it looks amazing. If we lived our lives as tourists in London, it would be amazing because then you wouldn't be worrying about money coming in. You wouldn't be worrying about paying the bills. You wouldn't worry about living where you are. All of these things that we obviously worry about in day-to-day life, the whole idea of a holiday is to escape those, right? So I think that the stresses are suddenly eradicated for a brief moment in time when we are a tourist. But of course, that's all we are, tourists. That means that we see life in another country, whether it be the countryside, even if it's in the same country, obviously in the countryside, in the city. We always look for the better in life, right? Doesn't mean we're going to get it. Facebook user, I'm really sorry I don't know your name because it just says Facebook user. I have lived in central London. I now live on the coast. I like London for a weekend, but can't stand the thought of living there now. Interesting stuff. So yeah, you see, it just goes to show. But actually, I think it goes to demonstrate as well that if someone is looking for somewhere else to live, is that the idea of looking for somewhere to escape to? And actually, arguably, it means that there are some problems or issues that maybe we have to deal with and that we need to sort. But just because we've moved doesn't mean those problems disappear. So, for example, for me, I know that one of the things that I loved getting away from when I was abroad just now is that got a bit of an on. Oh, it's David Wimble. I'm sorry, David. I'm so sorry. It just comes up saying Facebook user. Thanks, David. It says that I've got a bit of an issue at the moment, basically, where the people who run the block of flats that I live in, bear with me. I know this sounds like a boring anecdote. God, can you imagine the amount of dinner parties I get invited to? Anyway, but I've got a bit of a problem at the moment with the management company at the block of flats that I live in. And what they're doing is that they've decided to implement some parking restrictions within our block's garage. And it's causing misery for the other residents, because we used to be able to just swap spaces because we don't have very much visitors parking. We used to be able to swap spaces if we had visitors around, say, for example, someone's out for the evening or someone's out during the day, and we'd be able to say, hey, has anyone got a space free? Yeah, sure, take this one, no problem. Well, now we have to give 5 days notice for that. Yeah, you heard me. 5 days notice for when we're going to swap a space. So that bangos any spontaneous visits, that's for sure. Can you imagine? We're in out Friday, so I'd have to ask for next Wednesday now. Does anyone know of any parking space? And even then, I think it's 5 working days. So technically speaking, in some cases, it'd be 7 days notice I have to give. Bonkers. We all have to do it. Anyway, needless to say, been a bit of backlash and everyone's really quite unhappy about it. But to top it all off, they're now saying, well, actually, if you pay us an extra £10, we might be able to solve something. So it's just basically money making. Now, obviously, I'm not naming where I live. I'm not naming the block. I'm not naming the management company because, needless to say, this is potentially me hurling accusations at them. However, my point being is that it was really nice whilst I was away to get away from all of that nonsense and to basically just sort of imagine that that didn't exist. But it ultimately doesn't mean that the problem's gone away. It means that the problem is still there. I didn't have to deal with it for the 5 days that I was away. And I suppose that's kind of the similar sort of thought process of when someone looks elsewhere to say living outside of London or living in a different country. They see it as someone who is escaping from their problems, but don't necessarily appreciate those problems will be waiting for you, even possibly after you've moved.
I tell you what, people keep on dying.
Oh.
That's another funeral booked.
Well, you could argue it's good for business, I suppose. But
well, it's a very weird thing. I mean, you're upset somebody's died, and then you think, oh, I've got another job as a celebrant. It's a huge responsibility, but one that I'm very honoured to do. Very, very honoured to do, indeed.
I'm totally and utterly not being flippant when I say this. But have you had what you might call recurring customers yet? So in other words, someone who's maybe has seen you at another service and has then off the back of that decided that actually would love you to do the service for someone else?
Not just yet.
I know it's still early days. That's why I asked.
It is very early days, but there's some lovely review. I mean, the marketing that you have to do, especially for Google and for Google Business and all of that sort of stuff. But I attend a lot of lectures as well. I don't take it lightly. I spend hours during the week, not just marketing, but attending lectures and going on Zoom lectures and all sorts of things. That's what you have to do. But that's the serious side of it. I muck about on this, but the serious side of it is very, very, very different. But it's interesting. I've got to say something. Am I interrupting, by the way? Because you were saying
no, not at all. I deliberately managed to time that anecdote.
Yeah, there's something in the news that I'm sorry, I had to take that call up from the funeral director. The something in the news which is very, very disturbing is that I think it's in the north, could be in the north, where the funeral director's funeral parlour is under investigation for the fact that you think you've got your mum or dad's ashes back, and it's somebody completely random.
My God,
that's against the law. That's why they're doing a huge investigation there.
Gracious.
And this investigation, it's all over the news. But I'm coming on to the positive side, and something that I do want to say, because people are very worried. And I understand why they're worried. And other things like they think, Uncle Fred, they've got the ashes back, they've got an urn and everything. And the investigation is proving like Uncle Fred is still there in the funeral parlor, in the funeral director's place. It's a disgrace. I've met many, many funeral directors, and I want people to understand that the dignity, the respect that is shown at all stages is extraordinary. It's wonderful and extraordinary and life-affirming. If that doesn't sound strange. There's never any jokes. I mean, you can smile at each other, but if it's serious business, there's never any levity. There's never any, I'm going to say piss-taking or anything like that. It's the deceased and the deceased family are treated with great respect. And it's important to know, it is horrible when you get a really bad apple, like this firm clearly one assumes is, as they're being investigated like crazy. It is against the law what they've done, and it's shocking, and it's highly disrespectful. Not just to the person.
And I put it to you, this is precisely why I would never be allowed to do anything of that sort, because nothing to do with muddling up ashes. It's just because, as you know, the only way I can justify life is just to take the proverbial out of it, to try and cheer it up. And I know full well that I couldn't sort of just graciously accept that one has to be pan-faced, it would be tricky for me.
Well, it's not. What is? I mean, when you're waiting. All right, let's just get into it just for a second. When you're waiting for the cortege to arrive, you can be chatting to the funeral director and his assistants, or the chapel assistants, and just being kind of normal. But the moment the cortege arrives, boom, it's formal, because that's showing respect, and it's at a time when you want to show absolute respect. And I take that very seriously. I take the training very seriously. Somebody said, some people had met me somewhere, and they said he wasn't very friendly. He was very, and somebody else said, he's working. He's not doing radio now. He's there as a celebrant. He has to lead.
Oh, sorry, you weren't very friendly.
No, I mean, I was formal. Of course I'm formal.
See.
If you see me under those circumstances, I'm not going to be like this arsing about. I'm going to be formal. Of course I am. That's what the family would want. They don't want they don't want, caned laughter coming at them for an hour and a half, and they don't want a repetition of unwise but not illegal, my stand-up show. They want what they've paid for, and that's what they're going to get. I always find it amazing. People think, when you're working, you're just going to be like you would be if you ran into them in the street or in a bar or a coffee shop. It's just weird. If you're working, you're working. Have respect for that.
You say that though, but I always feel like what you see with me is what you get.
Yeah, that's why you never.
I mean, I hope it is. I don't know.
Oh, you're always.
That might not be a good thing.
No, but no. But you're always the same. But when you're working, if we've worked together outside of this, when we've worked in your big boy pants job, when we've worked there,
I don't remember that.
But you're serious about it. That's what you do. You're serious about it. You can have fun doing it, but you are serious about the service that you're giving to that company and the people that you're producing on air, etc., etc. It's a totally different thing. If you can't understand that, I think you've got a bit of a problem. It says more about you than it kind of does about us,
I think so.
But you wouldn't if you go to a funeral, you're not all if you go to Bushy or wherever, but yay, it's Phil, hooray, everybody, da, da, da. You're not like that. So why would you?
True.
There you go. Well, that's my point.
I know.
That's my point. You behave appropriately.
I get that, but then does that mean then in that case there's no room for humour?
No, there is absolutely room for humour. And when I'm reading if they want me to do the eulogy, and I've obviously prepared it and sent it to them, and they can amend or do whatever. And if there's a slight little amusing thing that we can put in, we put it in. Of course we do. You'd want it to reflect the personality of the person that you're
honoring. That's what I'm kind of thinking, is I'd hope that sort of more than anything,
of course
if someone has a good sense of humour.
Of course
I can't help but think they'd be very upset if everyone was suddenly really serious.
I did a funeral the other week, and the fellow who passed, he passed much too young, but he was a big guy. He was I'm not talking about fat. He was a physically big guy. He lived life to the full. Worked in a school as a sort of grounds fellow. That's all I'm going to say. But he seemed like a terrific. I didn't know him, obviously, and they'd made a mistake in the printing of the order of service, which would normally be, a decent size, and it arrived huge. That the printers had messed up, basically. So they had these huge order of service printed out. And of course, my opening thing was to allude that he was big in life, and even now he's passed, everything is still big. Look at the size of the order of service. I mean, it broke the ice, and people got it because apparently he had a wonderful sense of humor. So, and you do something to reflect that. Of course you would. You don't want to be there po-faced. And that's why I always, you and I have both been to funerals when it's quite clear the person speaking has been brought in, whether it's a rabbi or a priest or whatever, who has no idea who the person is. And they do this utterly generic kind of eulogizing. And you're sitting there going, well, that's not who he or she was. That's not representing them at all. And I think that's a shame. I'm very passionate about it. I think that's, you know what I'm talking about, Phil.
But the reason why I think that's a shame is I just think, this is the moment in the spotlight that person, after all their lifetime of work and dedication to whatever it may be, and suddenly it's just summarized in some sort of generic remembrance service.
That's not the thing. That's not what you want. You want to. I had lunch with my friend Larry last week, and he said, "You know what I'm thinking of doing?" He said, "I'm thinking of having a funeral before I'm dead." And I went, "What?" He says, "Well, I want to know what everybody's going to say about me." I said, "Well, there's just going to be 50 people lining up to say, 'Larry, what a dick,' and then walking away." That's basically that's going to be it. What's the matter? What's going on?
Paul Claridge.
Yep.
Phil, you may recall, I saw you letting your hair down and busting your best John Travolta moves on the dance floor in a very hot public house a few years ago. I can confirm you do have a fun side, possibly fueled by drink.
Yeah.
Well,
Phil does get jolly. Let's just say he gets jolly.
I refute that. Hang on a second. I just
for jolly.
It so happens I want to preserve my liver, and I believe in pickling it.
You've done I've got to tell you, you've done a bang up job, boy. You know
now,
her.
Can I just say, just before you introduce Screen Queen, can I just say really quickly, Paul Claridge asked if there's an update on Ebony. Sorry.
Oh, on Ebony. Well, on Monday, I've got two fantastic guests. One is my podcast partner, Mark Collin, and the other is the wonderful Anna Webb. Get all your dog questions ready. Anna's coming onto the show on Monday. I was desperate about Ebony. I'll be really honest with you. And so I got hold of Anna. She was brilliant. Brilliant. We were on the phone for about 45 minutes. Her advice has been superb. I followed it to the letter because with an expert, if you don't take their advice, you're an idiot. And Ebony seems to be look, she's 15 years old. She's not fully continent. I mean, she lives in the south of France. And I think she's got early canine dementia, but she's my baby. She's been with us for 15 years, and the family adore her. So my view with this is I will never ever let her suffer. I'm not going to let her go under at 15 any major procedures. It's not fair on her. And she has a wonderful life. She comes out with me twice a day for walks. She's fed, she's comfy. She's okay. She's doing the best that she can, and a little unsteady on her feet sometimes. And then 5 minutes later, literally running like a puppy and jumping up. And you think, wow, she's a puppy. And when I take her out, everyone says, "How old are you?" I said 15. They go, "Months." I go, "No, years." 15 years old.
Are we still talking about Ebony? Are you about to introduce Chantel? Sorry.
Well, both of them have a very glossy hair, are beautifully groomed, are normally don't misbehave in public. One begs for food, one doesn't, but then that Chantel, she gets away with it. I don't know how she just goes around in a restaurant, table to table. That looks nice. I'll have some of that. That's what she does. Ladies and gentlemen, you know her. You love her. For the second time today, I'm going to use those. I used it on Jilly Johnson earlier. You have to look it up. The pulchritudinous Chantel Ricards.
It's a good word. Chantel. I don't know how to spell it, but it's a good word. How are you, boys?
We're okay.
Okay, thank you. You're all right.
Yes, I'm fine.
I'm good. I've been having a good week. I would rather have been in the sunshine in South Africa with you, Phil, but it's,
Chantel, you would honestly, that would have been great fun. Could you imagine? Right?
Yes.
Chantel and Phil on tour in South Africa. Come on.
Yes, I can imagine.
I think we should make a mini series of you and I going around South Africa.
Oh, fine. Don't worry about me.
No.
Okay.
And then what we do is we carry on presenting the show on the Friday where Russ is stuck in London, which we know
I've been
now.
Through that. Thank you for years at Capital. Thank you very much.
We just have to get him to guess where we are in the world.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Can I tell you how many years? I did that for 20 years at Capital. Well, I also had to be in the UK, and they travelled everywhere. I was the sheet anchor, which was
You must have built up a lifetime of Avios points.
Me, I did. Yeah, now I can get to Croydon and back free of charge.
Wow. I wanted to remake that program that was on Discovery years and years ago, called The Dice Man, which was fronted by a very nice guy called Russell Harris, and he and a cameraman would have a a die with them. They would have 6 names on a piece of paper. They would roll the dice and off they would go. It was just such a simple idea, and it was brilliantly executed.
That was a book. That was a book by Luke Reinhold, I think it was, called The Dice Man, where he made, is that right? And also, of course, there was Andrew Dice Man Clay, completely unacceptable now, but I thought he was funny at the time.
Okay, don't remember.
You don't remember Andrew Clay, the Dice Man?
No.
Oh, he was discovered by Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield promoted him. It was very controversial. It was now controversial, but then it was Marmite. And he was filling like Madison Square. People went crazy for him, or loathed him, hated him, or loved him. He was very.
And he was a comedian.
Yeah. Andrew the Dice Man Clay.
No,
was a bit of a fan
means nothing
at the
to
time.
Me.
What was I going to say? I was going to say something important. Oh, I'm seeing you Monday. I really screwed up, everybody. This is how stupid I am, right? This is how stupid yours truly is. I get a lovely invitation, lovely email from Chantas. Do you want to come and see so-and-so? So I look at the subject matter. I go, I don't think it's for me. It's about football. You know what I know about football? Even less than Phil knows. That's saying something. I say no, thank you. It's not for me. And so I get a lovely reply immediately. No, I wasn't really keen on it, but I wanted to go for the Q&A for Bill Nye. So I read this. I go, gee, oh my God, my favorite actor, Bill Nye. So I, can I change my mind? No, I've asked my cousin. Sod it. Anyway, fortunately for me, I don't know how it happened. Her cousin fell down the stairs on a roller skate that just happened to be there. and now I'll see you Monday. Can I recommend something, and then I'm going to shut the hell up?
No, go for it.
It was recommended to me.
Yeah.
And I took her advice, and I looked it up on UK TV or UK Play, whatever it is. You get it for free. I watch it on my laptop. It's called the Marlowe Mystery Club, the Marlowe Murder Club. I beg your pardon. The Marlowe Murder Club, created and written by Robert Thorogood, who created Death in Paradise.
Yep.
Thank you for the invitation. If you're watching, for the suggestion, if you're watching, you know who you are. It was great. It was absolutely great. Terrific.
I'm glad
with Samantha Bond in fine form.
Yeah,
that's it.
No, it's very good. It's got a good cast, and it's brand new. It's part of what they now call on telly cozy crime.
Cozy crime, yeah.
Cozy crime, which I think you're a bit of a fan of.
I love cozy crime.
Yeah, you love cozy crime.
I do.
So
there's a genre for that, though. Can't it just be crime?
No. It's very specific writing form. It's very specific. Yeah. So you'd have at the top of it, you'd have Janice Hallett. You would have the MC Beaton, Agatha Raisin series. Is that cozy crime? Any of the Richard Osman is cozy crime. It's a very distinct. The Madame Blanc mysteries. Any of those things are the way they've created Father Brown. It wasn't written like that by G.K. Chesterton, but who features heavily in my next book. But it's a very distinct genre.
Yeah,
it's hugely successful.
Hugely successful.
Massive.
So it's crime without grisly murders, basically. You somebody gets killed, but probably out of sight, and then you end up with somebody finding a dead body. So you sort of start from a place where there has been a
Midsummer Murders. Think of Midsummer Murders as exactly cozy crime.
Yeah.
Rosemary and Thyme.
Rosemary and Thyme.
You got
it. Yes, yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's huge.
Yeah.
How huge is it? Well, if I told you what Richard Osman's current new advance per book is, you'd all faint. And people say, "Oh, isn't he on telly?" No, I wouldn't get out of bed now if I was getting for these games. Unbelievable, mind-blowing.
Oh, no, cozy crime. I mean, I think we picked up. I mean, cozy crime a bit was Agatha Christie, but that's going back.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
From the US, you got things like Columbo. You got the Angela Lansbury series.
Yes, perfect. Murder, She Wrote.
The sort of stuff that you can fall asleep to without getting nightmares.
That's everything.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm very careful. The last thing I put on my iPad at night is never something that is going to, sort of that I will absorb that is grisly or nasty.
So you never do a rewatch of our shows?
No, I don't do a rewatch of our shows.
That would keep you awake.
But I might start an episode of Death in Paradise because I know it's sort of going to be fine and it'll all be okay in the end, and there'll be.
But Marlon's gone. Marlon's gone in Death in Paradise.
Don't tell me that. I haven't seen that yet.
Well, Marlon's left. I'm not going to tell you who's come back.
Right,
hello.
No, don't spoil it.
No.
Don't spoil it.
It's this series, this latest the Death in Paradise series is one of the best. It's terrific scripts. I mean, the scripts are really great.
Series 13.
It's excellent.
Yeah, it's still worth watching. You know, still good scripts. Absolutely, it was a great formula at the beginning, and it still works.
Yeah.
So what's not to like? I
think this is the best. It's so fascinating when they get the casting just right because it's an ensemble piece, and it's just so good. Sometimes it drifted a little bit with some of the characters. They went, and the new characters are just Ginny Holder as Darlene's terrific.
Yeah,
terrific. Anyway, there we go.
Anyway,
what's
so
your found?
Marlo.
I wonder. Does that mean actually? Could it be then in that case? I know you're not going to spoil it now. Has Dwayne come back? Oh, maybe. Okay. Perfect.
You'll have to wait and see.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, cliffhanger. Whoever comes back comes up with a bang, and there's some very, very funny sequences in it, and
good.
Lovely play acting. Anyway, there we go. What have you found?
Well, no, I want to know whether you boys have watched the Oscars because that was Sunday night. I'm afraid I didn't watch the Oscars.
No, didn't watch 1 second of it, and thank God I didn't.
I can tell you that I think that I would rather chew glass, but okay.
Yeah, I'm with Phil. I can't bear it. And after when Glazer got up and did that, that's it. I'm finished. I'm out.
Well, you have seen some of it then. I saw the.
No, I didn't say. I can't because it gets me so. In all seriousness, gets me so furious and so agitated. It actually starts to make me ill. I'm not exaggerating. It starts to really affect my mental health. I can't watch it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Do it. And I can't stand Jimmy Kimmel. I think it's just.
Okay. I was going to say.
I really don't like Jimmy Kimmel. I don't like the way he thrusts his politics into every single thing he does. Jimmy Fallon doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, James Corden. I'm not a James Corden fan, as you know, but he never did either. But you know, Jimmy Kimmel can't stop being so woke.
Indeed. Well, so we'll move on from the Oscars.
I think the answer you was looking for there, Chantal, is no, neither of us have seen the Oscars. Yeah, sorry.
That conversation didn't go well. Well, I tell you what, I did go and see to a very small audience on Monday. And it was mentioned by Graham Pack, one of our lovely viewers and listeners, who said, "Oh, there's a Ricky Gervais gig happening in."
Oh yes, he wrote to me about that. I didn't go.
Yeah, and actually, it's one of these sort of they're not private gigs, but they're gigs whereby the comedian, and most of the comedians do it, or the really, really big comedians do it. They'll go and do a sort of test market. And this was in a very small theatre in Leicester Square. It was 4:00 in the afternoon, and Ricky Gervais was trying out some new material. And he says he'll try out this stuff up to 80 times before it actually ends up being in his. I know, which is extraordinary. So it was about 40 minutes of Ricky, and then there were, I think, 3 or 4 other comedians who all did 10 minutes each. I mean, pretty tough for the other comedians to be by Ricky Gervais. And he was naughty and scurrilous and sweary and incredibly funny at the same time. Clearly, he was preaching to the converted. So there was lots of laughter in the room, and it was definitely the way to cheer up a wet Monday afternoon in the West End. But I'm looking forward to the.
I saw the preview of Armageddon, which was his last big, huge thing.
Indeed, that was the one that came out at Christmas.
That was it. And I saw it, I can't remember the year before, in August or something, thanks to Leo Green. And again, a small audience working through it. And it's fascinating to see, as I always say, what lands and what doesn't land. And it feels like a kind of privilege to be there at that early stage and watching it being formed and molded and, you know, honed.
He was talking about when he used to present the Golden Globes, which is this film and television awards ceremony that happens in Los Angeles that comes from the Beverly Hilton Hotel. And Ricky, extraordinarily enough, Ricky was allowed to say anything he wanted. Never seen or approved by the Golden Globes. The only approval process was that on the day of the awards, he would have to go down to the Beverly Center where there would be a vast array of lawyers, and the lawyers would look at it to make sure that legally there wasn't anything that was going to get them.
Oh my God.
And he told this incredibly funny story about trying to tell a joke about Judi Dench and the lawyers arguing the toss all afternoon about what word to describe Judi Dench would be offensive and what wouldn't. I mean, I was rolling in the aisles with laughter. It was terribly funny. I don't know whether he'll actually keep that in one of his skits.
Oh my God. Can you imagine going down, the entire audience is lawyers, just with their yellow, you know what it's like in America, yellow notepads and pencils.
Yes.
They don't trust themselves with pencils.
And of course, they don't get a lot of the English words. So a lot of the English words that Ricky was using, they were then having to look them up very quickly to work out how rude they were. And honestly, it was really, really funny. But
never before have two countries been so divided and united by a language.
Yeah.
So funny.
Anyway. So I tell you what else I've seen this week. I was caught up with something that had been on Channel 4 for the last 3 years under their Walter Presents strand, which is their international crime drama series. And actually, this is called Astrid, Murder in Paris. And it's a cop buddy thing, except that Astrid is a woman who works in the Criminal Records Office, who is on the autistic spectrum. So she's very controlled. She's very measured. Think Rain Woman as opposed to Rain Man.
Right.
She's super clever. She has a brain the size of a planet. And somehow she gets involved with one of the women police officers, Raphael, who's mad and chaotic. But between the two of them, they always come together to solve a particularly interesting crime.
Ooh.
So Astrid is there. She's a puzzle solver. Because she works in the criminal records department and she's got this photographic memory, she can join up all the dots in a way that most computers still haven't when it comes to criminal records, because they haven't been computerized. I mean, in recent years, things have started getting put more and more onto computer, but this young woman has this ability to remember everything that's in the records going back about 60 years. It's a clever premise and it absolutely works. Some of the episodes are just single 1 hour episodes. And then sometimes you get a story that stretches across 2 hours. But there are 3 full series. I've already watched the first 3 episodes. And actually, I will definitely go back and watch it again.
Is it in English or French?
It's in French, but actually it brushes up my French, which I quite like because I don't speak enough French anymore. I'm losing it rapidly. So it helps with my French.
Oh, I wouldn't be so harsh on yourself, Shant. Oh, I see. You mean losing the French. Sorry.
No, well, the French can stay where they are. I had a year in France and probably never again is all I would say.
Everywhere you go, you can't wait to come back. Unbelievable.
That's the joy of going away, is that there's always Wandsworth to come back to.
What was it about France you didn't like, apart from the French?
Well, the French didn't really like the Brits, which was a bit of a doubt.
They hate us.
Yeah.
But it's mutual.
Oh,
so
it's unbelievable.
Okay.
Seriously. Whilst I was in South Africa at one of the vineyards, there was a French couple.
Yeah.
Actually, no, French family. So we're talking about French family who were there sampling the wines. So I thought, do you know what? Let's break down barriers. It's been quite a while since Waterloo. Let's see if any barriers.
EU speaks. Mr. EU.
So I thought, I'll just see. And I spoke and I said, so what do you prefer? Do you prefer French wine or do you prefer the South African wine?
Sacré bleu.
Oh
anyway,
God.
So this delightful creature, she turns around, tells me in French she doesn't understand the question, and someone that she was with managed to translate for me. She looks disparagingly at me as if I had asked her to kill somebody. And she just looked and she said, Français.
Yeah, indeed.
And then just shrugged in French and turned away.
Did she have a guillotine with her, or maybe she was on holiday? She left it at home.
Oh dear! No, I just gave her a Victoria sponge and told her to shut up. But seriously, for goodness' sake, what the flipping hell is wrong with people? Seriously, all I was trying to do was be friendly and just make conversation. No, everyone else in South Africa, lovely, made conversation, enjoyed, delighted.
That's a big mistake.
Okay.
Look, they never forgave you for your ancestors at Agincourt. Frankly, they're still pissed off about that.
Oh, I have to tell you, by the way, on the plane, although I did take 2 night flights, so I didn't get much chance to watch TV. I finally got round to watching the film Oppenheimer.
On
a plane.
Not the place to see it on a plane.
No, I know. I have been told you need to see it on a big screen. Yeah, I will rewatch it, I promise. But it was just because I knew that I'd have several hours ahead, and I couldn't get distracted. But it's a lot of information to take in. Good Lord,
God,
it's too long.
It's an hour too long.
Yeah, it won everything.
Blow the thing up, go home, have some tea. That's what I always say.
Yeah. No, it was too long. But the next time you tackle the French, Phil, I would think of an opening line or an opening question that isn't as provocative as "What do you think?"
No, you're talking to Phil, Chantal.
Excuse me. I don't think it was provocative. I was just merely... Oh, for goodness sake.
It was deeply provocative, and you know it.
Mr. Subtle, known for his subtlety and love of the EU and all things European.
Yeah.
I do like the European. I just prefer it when they're in Europe. That's all.
Oh, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Don't, for God's sake. Now you've upset Paul Claridge. But anyway, what else have you found?
Right. Okay. So I thought I'd give you something that everybody is talking about is water cooler telly this week. Mm-hmm. It's very rude. It's very raunchy. It's very sweary. There is an awful lot of bonking going on, but mostly by candlelight. So you can't quite see what's going on. I mean, the intimacy director on this TV series has been working overtime, is all I can say. It's the brand new series on Sky called Mary and George. You heard about it?
I've seen the advert on the because I'm always on the tube. So there's a huge poster. I don't know what it's about.
Huge publicity campaign on the part of Sky.
Primarily in Soho.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I should think everywhere, actually. This is
Baker Street, to be honest with you. It's actually at Baker Street because I'm always there to change trains.
Yeah. It's about James I, who was known to enjoy having sex with lots of different types of people, mostly young, gorgeous young men. And that is the George in the story. Mary is his devilish mother, who and they are an impoverished sort of baronetcy. And she decides she is going to use her second son to get very close to James I to fill their coffers. And there was a lot of coffer filling is all I can
say.
Can I just suggest, I'm pleased you said that, because that's not a line I would have gone with on this.
I was tempted, but even I held back. What's the matter with me?
It's
good heavens.
Quite extraordinary.
Is that Julianne Moore?
Julianne Moore.
I'm only going from the advert. That's all I've seen.
Yeah, Julianne Moore is.
By the end of the episode, it's Julianne no more.
Yeah.
It's Julianne Saw.
Yeah, to pass.
Hey.
To pass on a stolen line from one of the critics, there is a lot of rough RUFF sex.
Oh, and very good.
Yeah, indeed. And it is, but the point is, if you sort of like the Tudors, that's the sort of thing that this is the program you're going to love. I mean, this family is so devilish. They're sort of like, they make the Borgias look like the Partridge Family.
Wow.
But bizarrely, in the same sort of way that you've got a mother that is using the son to make a lot of money, because clearly that was definitely going on in the Partridge Family. It's an extraordinary story. Nicholas Galitzine, who went to the same school that you did, I have to say, Russ. Yeah, absolutely standout acting from him with Julianne Moore.
Evidently.
Yeah, Tony Curran, who plays James I, who is a fabulous Scottish actor. It's tremendously well done if you like that sort of thing. If that isn't for you, definitely don't turn it on. because it'll have you blushing
for me.
from the opening scene.
Well, I have to tell you, I was going to say, it's not even doesn't sound like the kind of thing that make my mother blush. It sounds like it would make me go a brighter shade of lobster. But anyway,
yeah. I think you should go around for Friday night dinner and say, Mum, and then sit there with Linda and Ray, with you sitting in the middle of the sofa.
No, definitely not.
Jeez. No, worse.
I think it's something to watch on your own or with somebody of your own age. That's for sure.
No, I don't. I am.
But it was all going on in the 17th century. Let me tell you, it is obviously clearly a true-ish story. I looked up all the history because actually I really wanted to know what was true and what wasn't. And it's a very, very interesting part of history. But I'll leave it at that. I'll just no more.
Blimey.
Good Lord.
I don't like. I'll be honest. I know you think that I would think
gives new definitions to the king and his queen.
Hey.
Very good.
Never mind his scepter and orb. Anyhow, no, not for me.
You're looking right royally flush.
Yeah. All right, we can keep this going for a while.
Sorry, it's hard to come up with new jokes. Oh, sorry. Do apologize.
It's all going downhill.
Yeah, rapidly. Definitely.
Oh,
anything else that you've seen that doesn't involve
anything quick fire? No pun intended.
Bring us back to reality. One of the films that was nominated for Oscars and BAFTAs, sadly didn't win anything, but it got to the final round, was something called Society of the Snow. It's a true story about the 1972 Uruguayan plane crash, where a plane was full of a rugby team going off to Chile. Absolutely true story. There were 72 passengers on board. No, there were, I can't remember how many passengers on board.
Well, a lot less afterwards.
Well, 45 passengers on board. And they were found after 72 days. There was a big controversy about what kept them alive. I won't go into that, but it's an incredibly good film. It's in Spanish. It's on Netflix. It's worth watching, and it's called Society of the Snow.
You could say it's worth a try.
Let's just very good. Touchdown, but it wasn't touchdown where they hoped. It was a let's just say there wasn't a Deliveroo up on that mountain. In the Andes. They have made films about it before.
Yeah, indeed, there have been lots of films.
Who knows what one would do under exceptionally extreme circumstances?
Yeah, and they don't dwell on. They don't. It's not gruesome to look at, if you see what I mean.
Oh, thank God.
But there are moral stories that come out of it which are fascinating, and then the back end of it is: will the two people who then set off across the Andes at their last ditch attempt of life to try and get out and find somebody, will they get to a place where they are found? So, I mean, it's a thriller. It's a real life thriller, but it's definitely worth watching.
Speaking of real life thriller, this is where I have to bow out as we hurtle towards 1 o'clock. I dare say you two are probably going to carry on.
We'll carry on for a little bit because
I must say thank you very much indeed for tolerating the nonsense once more, and to look forward to seeing you both next.
And welcome back.
Oh, thank you very much. It's not like I ever gave the audience a break really, because I was here last Friday as well.
Doesn't matter.
No,
just feel
it's perfect timing because as soon as I said I'm off. The viewing figures just went up.
Went up.
So I don't know what happened, but anyway.
Gosh, let's join the dots. Join the dots, shall we? Bye bye. And he's back. Look! Oh, for God's sake, we're going to do this. Right, he's gone. I'll tell you a lovely little film that I saw. Well, it's not so little. I thought, well, I'll give it a go. It's got Millie. Oh, I always get it wrong. Millie Bobby Brown. Have I got the name right?
Millie Bobby Brown, who was in Stranger Things.
That's the one. Millie Bobby Brown, who I thought was American, turns out she's English. Yeah. And it's called Damsel. And it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And they take the old, thank you, coming in from New York City, Errol Rappaport, who I had the pleasure of meeting a couple of weeks back. Errol, good to see you. Terrific guy, by the way. You'd love him. So next time he's in town, you must meet him. He's a very interesting guy. Very showy, very movies, and right up your street.
Wonderful.
Anyway, Millie Bobby, it's got Ray Winston in it. It looks like $1 gazillion, but it was shot in the UK, and it's one of these kind of fantasy things where she's the daughter, she's got a little sister, and there's an arranged marriage, And they go on the boat and they go to this fabulous land and everything's marvelous. And Robin Wright, the beautiful Robin Wright, is the queen of this land. They're welcomed and it's all marvelous. And then it goes horribly, horribly, horribly wrong.
Oh, what? The story or the movie?
No, not the story. The film maintains real. It was interesting because you see these things, you can have a cup of tea, you're looking at emails, and you're gripped because there's a real sense of absolute danger. There's a one of your phrases when we talk about TV, and I've sown some ideas to you over the years. It's something like, "Where's the threat?" You always say to me, jeopardy. "Where's the threat?
Where's the jeopardy?
Where's the jeopardy?" And in this, it is a visceral jeopardy, and it's really good.
Oh, okay.
It's fun. It's beautifully done. She's great. I mean, she's really solid. She's really solid in this.
That'll be something to watch in the gym tonight.
Kids could watch it. Kind of, not little kids because it's not for them, but sort of 8 upwards would be all right. And it looks fantastic. It's called Damsel.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, that sounds jolly good. I'm going to have to love you and leave you too because I've got to zoom out to New York by 5:00.
Are you flying to New York or you're zooming?
No, I'm on a Zoom.
Oh, international, probably with Errol Rappaport. Thank you for joining us.
Not at all. It's been lovely.
Bye.
All right, take care.
I'll see you Monday. Bye-bye. Well, that is it, folks, from all around the world. Record numbers again. Thank you so much. What a treat. Phil and Chantal will be back on Friday. That's a week's time. On Monday, get your dog questions ready. Gosh, sounds like bloody breakfast TV, doesn't it? Seriously, Anna Webb's on the show, and she is fantastic. She really knows what she's talking about. Anna Webb, plus my podcast partner, Mark Collins, coming on for all your... he's just an interesting guy. So I'll see you Monday, 12 o'clock with myself and Neil Longy Long. I don't call him that. That's what he calls himself. Longy Long. It's mad. All right. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to try and walk a very tired dog. So we'll both be like crawling around the block together. Have a good weekend. Until Monday, try and stay out of trouble. Bye-bye.